So now I'll start with the middle section.
Which has been sewn. You can also pamphlet hole stitch this as well.
Yeah, that kind of uses the same pattern. The pattern doesn't matter. You do whatever is, however you want to do it. If you want to use a glue stick, that's fine. A lot of people do. Use a lot of glue and make sure you get to the edges really well. Okay, now I'm going to do the inside. I'm going to do that the very same way. And I think before I do that though, if you see right here, I've kind of got a little extra and I got it lined up not quite as straight as I'd like. So no big deal. I'm just going to trim that off. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with this. Now I am going to try to be careful and make sure that I've got my words going in the same direction. So again, I'm going to do this, go all the way to the edges, and then put her in there, start and get this lined up. Make sure we're all lined up, and that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it. Now there's hundreds probably ways to do this. I'm not going to say this is the best way. I'm saying this works well for me, and it's one way. Alright, so there we go. And you can see I keep forgetting to use my little sponge, but it's a great idea if I'd remember to use it. Okay, this is down, and looks like I need to trim this just a little bit too. And that's okay. Maybe a little bit here. Okay, now this is where sometimes the inking is really helpful. If I've got some stuff hanging over and then I ink it like this, there's a lot to hide it and make it look like, oh, she wanted it that way. So you can trim it closer, or you can do exactly what I'm doing here and just kind of disguise it with your ink. Some people do a little bit more in the corners, and I agree, it does make it look really nice. But it's not it's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side real quickly. I'll try not to take too long. If I were doing this not on camera, I might take a little bit longer and make sure I get it covered better, but I don't think you want to watch that, so I'm going to try to not do that. You might hear in the background, I've got another video playing because I almost always have one playing when I'm doing my all my journaling stuff. Okay, that looks good enough to me. Okay, now I'm feeling for where that fold is. That feels like the first one. I'll try to get this straight. It's a little bit more difficult since I already have that paper. I'm going to use a bone folder. That's what this is called. This is your friend. If you don't have that, maybe a plastic knife would do. A ruler would do. There's different things that you can use. This though, they aren't very expensive, and I think if you're going to do this very much, you're going to find that it'll be your friend. So here we go. The other thing a lot of times I like to do, and other people that do these, sometimes we'll go ahead and just ink that crease. It gives it a little bit of character, gives it a little bit of that worn look, if that's what you happen to like. And if not, there again, that's okay. It's your book. Go ahead and do this on the inside. Now you might notice, you probably will, that I got some little creases in here. That really doesn't bother me. When you use wet glue, a lot of times that will happen. But you can usually smooth it out or cover it up, and it's all good. All right, here's where I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna do a couple of stamps. We kind of like to just give them a little bit more character. This stamp is like cancellation, which I think is kind of neat. I'm sure I got that on sale at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, somewhere, like everything else. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this. Now, you probably noticed that didn't show real well. It's not a bad idea if you've got a stamp pad like this one to use that. Then it'll actually give you a little better surface. If you don't, maybe a pile of book pages or something like that, so that you've got a good surface that doesn't have any waves in it or low places, so that your stuff doesn't show up very well. This matte paper is so busy that this isn't showing up real well, but you can see it, and I think it does add a little bit of interest to it. Okay, that's my outside. I'm going to get rid of this stamp pad now. And another thing, if you're going to use these ink pads, it's a good idea to go ahead and put your ink cover right back on, because it's so easy for them to dry out. So that would be what I'd suggest. Now, when I use this, I think this is going to go really well with this, just because it's kind of airmail and makes you, it looks like Germany and makes you think about how you might be traveling. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, though, I'm going to go ahead and put this where I want it, and then I'm going to fold this so that I can see where I want that fold to be. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm doing this so that mainly I know where to put that glue. So when I do glue this, I'm just going to, I want a pocket here, so all I'm going to do is go right here on the bottom, because I don't want it to fall through, and then I'm going to go right up this side, leaving this open. Then I'm going to go here, and here, because again, I'm going to use that as a pocket, and I'm going to go here and here. Okay, now if you wanted to, you could take a small hole punch and, just make a little insert there. And I could have used a bigger one, but at least that shows you that that's supposed to be a pocket. Okay, I'm going to put these creases down where the other crease is, and then I'm going to smooth it down. And make sure that this folds. Make sure that this folds, and make sure that this goes in. That's great. This goes in. That's great. This goes in. That's great. Looks like that's wanting to be loose just a little bit, so I'm going to smooth that down just a little bit more. Okay, so there I've got my basic book. Now let's see what we're going to do about decorating it. I think I really want to put on the cover this little folder, because I think that's just pretty cool. So I'm thinking about putting this like this. So I'm just going to glue that down. Squiggle it down there and stick her on there. Okay, now I want these papers in here But I don't want this to be flopping open all the time, so I'm going to put just a little glue right there. Just a little bit. And that'll keep that from flopping open for me. But it gives me room to stick these papers in there, and maybe they can stick out a little bit. I'm not going to take the time to right now, but I think it would be pretty cool to write something on each of these, and maybe something inspirational, maybe something funny, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. This happened to be a little Tim Holtz sticker, really tiny one that I had, and I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, on the back of it, here we're going to have to think. Again, I'm going to use the same twine that I did on that first one. So I'm going to go ahead and get this down. For this, because it's twine, I'm not going to use art glitter glue. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac, sometimes known as Fabri-Fix. I think 3-in-1 is kind of the same thing. It just works a little better on fabric. So I'm doing a nice little bead there. And I'm going to stick this right down on there. I am not like some people. I really don't like to get my hands in the glue, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Since I got my Fabri-Tac out and I'm still going over that twine, I'm going to use that on this little folder that I'd already made. And I'm going to stick that right over that twine. So now I've got my fastening already down. And here again, I used some Tim Holtz stickers that I'd purchased earlier. And let's just go ahead and we'll just do one more of these for the front cover. How about this one? Parcel Post. Now, since this one's going this way and that one's going that way, I think I'll let that one go that way. Doesn't really matter. Now, a lot of people like to add a lot more than this. They like to layer stuff and, I don't know, maybe put something behind it. They might want to do a different pattern paper or a plain paper or lace or anything like that, and that's fine if that's what you choose to do. As I've said other times, I tend to be a little more, a little plainer, but I think it'd look really cool if you wanted to do that. Gotta be able to see to put that in there, and it's not something I can always do. I have in here a bunch of the little Tim Holtz stuff. So if I wanted to stick other stuff on here, which might be kind of cool, I might say, especially on the inside where this is, I might want to stick another little sticker here that says via airmail, which I think would be kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. You can stencil, you can stamp, you can do, you can cut your own stuff out. You can do whatever you want to do to decorate. As I said, I'm a little bit of a minimalist and I don't want to take too much time to do this. Okay, now I've got my basic thing here. I've got the back and the front, and that'll fold up. I've got this, and this will wrap around. And I think I maybe should have made just a little bit longer, but I can make that work and just do a tie there. So let's do the let's do our tags now. Okay. So I've already got this out, and I've got this paper. And you know what? I think that'll work just fine. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this piece right here. I think I might have to trim a little of this off, but that's okay. And now I'm just going to stick this right down over that, and I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so there's one tag, and Here's another tag that looks like that's going to fit great. So I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm going to try to get the words right side up. These are going sideways, so it really doesn't make any difference. But here we go again. And again, don't be afraid to try a glue stick. Worst that can happen is, oh, I'll go back and glue it again, but it might work just great for you. I'm a big believer in use what you have and don't worry about it. Okay, and here's my last tag. I'm trying not to make this too thick. One of the things that you have to be aware of, and you may be fine with it, and that's okay if you are, but one of the things that you have to think about is how much bulk you're adding to your book as you make it, and whether that's what you want or not. So since this is something I'll probably stick in a book later, I'm going to try to not get it too terribly thick. Okay, there's that. I don't think I need to trim these because I'm just going to go ahead and ink the edges. This one probably a little bit.
But I'm going to wait your spine. You can decorate that with some inked colors as well.
Okay. Okay, I won't take your time now to do all that inking around there. Just know that you can do it. Here we go. Now that's sticking up just a little bit. So if I said, oh, I really don't like that, that goes in. We want to make sure that they fit. If they don't, you just trim them off. So now we probably want to put something on those so that we can tell. And I think I am going to trim this one off just a little bit. I don't want it to stick up too high. And there we go. Now I could do a lot of different things. What I think I might do, I might just take some of these little Tim Holtz things and let that be my tab. Oh, that's kind of cool. So let's see. I might just take this and put a little glue. I'm not going to put this all the way down, so I'm just going to do it about halfway. And of course, I did the wrong end, so let's take that glue off. And let's do the right end of it.
This way you can line up your seam of the folded papers with the center of your spine. You want that to be in the center.
Let's stick that right there.
We're about centered there.
And then this one,
a second or two to readjust.
I don't really see any writing, so I'm going to go about halfway up, just like I did on that one.
Because I did sew this one, and I can show you that one more closely, but let me staple this.
Stick that on.
Okay.
Stick that in there.
Right here.
Same thing with this one.
Okay.
About halfway up. Stick it on.
Eraser below, just something that has some give to it.
And there we go. There we go. I do notice that this one, for some reason, isn't wanting to stick. So I'm going to take this out of my way. Put a little more glue down. I might have waited a little too long to put it down after I did the glue.
We have a little issue with that one, so we're retreating, pulling it out.
So we left on the back so that you could journal. You can use a, you can use like a corner chomper. This happens to be a crocodile one. And I might take this and say I want to round those corners and make it a little more interesting. I should have done this before I put the top on there, but you can see how we can do that.
Okay, and now we're just going to take our thumb and
so basically, there we are. There's our, here we go. Now I might want to put a little bit more on the front. but we can always decorate things. So I hope you enjoyed this.
3,
I hope you can see how you can just take any kind of idea, make it your own, do whatever you want to do with it. And thank you, Lowe's,
you could probably easy put 10, maybe even 12
for this flyer.
in here. I just have to
Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.